6911. The double flash was detected on September 22, 1979, and while over 40 years have passed, little information has been leaked. The satellite reported the characteristic double flash of a small explosion of 2 to 3 kilotons in the Indian Ocean between the Crozet Islands and Prince Edward Islands. The Vela satellite program was a nuclear detonation (NUDET) detection system set up after the 1963 limited test ban and was designed to detect nuclear explosions in space and later air. There were 2 groups of Vela satellites developed. The original Vela were equipped only with sensors for space detection and were launched in 3 pairs between 1963 and 65. They operated for at least 5 years, far beyond their normal design life of 6 months. A second generation called Advanced Vela were launched in 1967, 69, and 1970. These satellites added bang meters, optical sensors for detecting atmospheric tests, and had a nominal design life of 18 months, but were later rated with a 7-year lifespan, although they were all operated for more than 10 years, with the last one being turned off in 1984 after 14 years of successful operation. Vela 6911 is presumably one of the advanced Vela pair. If a nuclear explosion did occur, it occurred within the 3,000-mile-wide circle covering parts of the Indian Ocean, the South Atlantic, the southern tip of Africa, and a small part of Antarctica. The principal question that was hung in the air for the last 40-plus years has been more along the lines of whose test was it than was it really a test? The choices were basically South Africa, Israeli, or a joint South African-Israeli test, but attempting to decide on one of these hypotheses is necessarily based on guesswork or reliance on one or more hearsay or anonymous reports of uncertain or outright suspect reliability. In 2010, it was reported that on February 27, 1980, President Jimmy Carter wrote in his diary, quote, "We have a growing belief that among our scientists that the Israelis did indeed conduct a nuclear test explosion in the ocean near the southern end of Africa." Leonard Weiss of the Center for International Security and Cooperation at Stanford University writes, "The weight of the evidence that the Vela event was an Israeli nuclear test assisted by South Africa appears overwhelming." In 1991, Seymour Hersh in the Sampson Option quoted a number of Israeli sources as saying that the test was a joint Israeli and South African operation. Prime Minister F.W. de Klerk announced in March 1993 that South Africa had built nuclear weapons, and since the time additional information was periodically come forth, it was revealed that the SA had indeed developed and manufactured nuclear weapons, mostly gun-type devices, used highly enriched uranium, but no tests beyond a single zero-yield lab test were disclosed. The information that was made available tended to disconform the hypothesis that South Africa conducted the test. The IAEA has apparently been able to confirm that whatever discrepancies exist between South Africa's HEU inventory and its production records, and some are inevitable, the amount is too small to hide the HEU required for a test. Further, South Africa's accounts of its weapon development activities indicates that its first device was not complete until months after the incident. From documents made available to it, the IAEA believes that the first nuclear device was not manufactured until November. This first device was an experimental one named Melba, which was said to be kept for research and demonstration purposes throughout the program, which ended in 1989. In 1997, an article that appeared in the Israeli daily newspaper Haaretz, South African Deputy Foreign Minister Aziz Pahad was quoted as confirming that the September 22nd flash over the Indian Ocean was indeed from South African nuclear tests. The article said that Israel helped South Africa develop its bomb designs in return for 550 tons of raw uranium and other assistance. Initially, this seemed to conclusively decide that the nature of the Vela incident, at least as far as its participants went. The possibility of undisclosed Israeli participation remained. Pahad's office later responded that his remarks were taken out of context. His press secretary told the Albuquerque Journal in an article dated July 11th that Pahad had said only that there was a strong rumor, quote, that a test had taken place, unquote, and that it should be investigated. In other words, Pahad was not commenting on actual knowledge of the test, but was repeating rumors that had already been circulated for many years. In 2003, Stansfield Turner, the director of the CIA during the Carter administration, stated that the Vela detection was of, quote, man-made phenomenon. In his 2006 book, On the Brink, the retired CIA clandestine service officer Tyler Drumheller wrote of his 1983-88 tour of duty in South Africa. Quote, we had operational successes, most importantly regarding Pretoria's nuclear capability. My sources collectively provide incontrovertible evidence that the upheld government had in fact tested a nuclear bomb in the South Atlantic in 1979, and they had developed a delivery system with assistance from the Israelis. So what do you think? It seems to me that they just keep pointing fingers back and forth. Israel, South Africa, Israel, South Africa. Leave your answers in the comments below.